5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kay Holt, welcome to Surfing Stuff. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here. Thank you for making time. And, you know, it's just flipping awesome, man. How's it, man? How's it going?
Oh, really well, Carl. Nice to hear from you. I've been enjoying my little holiday. I have a little bit of a school holiday, so it's actually been quite nice. I've been taking it easy, trying to sell my house. I'm pretty much wrapping up Cape Town, moving back to the K.Z.N.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a busy time for me, but here with my mom, loving being back in the warm water. And, yeah, it's good to see you and talk to you back while I'm back on the coast where we met, yeah.
Yeah, yes. So you're coming back to K.Z.N. A lot of people are fleeing down to the Cape, and now you coming back. That's amazing, eh?
No, you know what? Those people fleeing to the Cape, they better get ready for heavy traffic, horrible. Look, everything works. It's beautiful. It's like being in Europe, but it is just like such a busy city. It's like Joburg on a rush hour all the time. So I don't know. I'm from a small town. I'm from Margate, you know. So going to a place like Cape Town was already quite a big step for me. And then, you know, living in Muizenberg, it was nice. It was great. And then, you know, teaching in Muizenberg and, you know, that kind of area was great. And now that I'm in the city teaching in Rondebosch and private school and everything, it's become a bit tricky. And I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed with everything. And I'm quite happy to actually rather just retire and move back to the coast. So I'm seriously thinking of moving back, in the next few years.
Okay. Wow.
It's a shocked look on your face.
Well, I tell you what, at least you'll have St. Mark's to yourself, just about. I mean, who's surfing on the coast? It can't be many folks, you know.
Well, I'll be with Heather. I'll be surfing Heather Clark and Candy Burnt and, you know, Royd and Brighton. I mean, like some great surfers here, and Broads, you know, they're all fantastic surfers. And they're all surfing, and Louis Beaumont's all surfing either South Brim or Trafalgar or South Mike's, you know, I've seen them, and it's fantastic. Yeah. You know, it's actually quite amazing to have, you know, time with those guys in the water, and it's like being like the old days. It's fantastic, yeah.
Are you making me a bit jealous? You know what I mean? I haven't been home for so long.
Yeah. Well, why don't you come back? It's really beautiful here.
Oh, you know, look, it's a great place, Kay, but to bring a whole family back to South Africa and to relocate, I'm just gonna hang around here for a while. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Good. So they big, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Anyway, listen, Kay, the stock standard entry-level question I have for everybody that comes on the podcast is, when did it all start for you? You know, obviously, I know a bit of your background, and a lot of people do, but there's also a lot of folks that have got no idea about Kay Holt and where she came from in the surfing realm. So, take us back to when it all started for you. I'm talking surfing now, you know, obviously. Love to hear about it.
I'm going to shock you firstly. I was born in Johannesburg, born in Hillbrow.
Oh, my daughter.
I was in love with water from a kid. I jumped into a swimming pool in winter and nearly killed myself. I got bronchial pneumonia. And, when I got to the coast and I saw the sea, I fell in love. And then, you know, I was a nipper lifesaver, and I loved nippers. I loved riding those little Lilo surfer plane things and riding the longboards. And my brother, my step-brother, came down from Maritzburg with this massive longboard. A 9-foot, well, I thought it was like 20 foot, obviously, when I was a little, I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 8 or 9 or 10. I was trying to ask my mom now, and she's like, I really don't know how old you were, you know. All I remember was her, and I had to carry it to the lifesaving club because I couldn't even carry it on my own. It was like so funny. Anyway, I bought the surfboard for 20 rand from my brother, saved up all my pocket money. It was like hilarious. And then, I started actually like kneeling, you know, when they did that kneel racing.
Yeah.
So I used that as my knee board, and then eventually started surfing on it. And then, I borrowed a guy's surfboard and dinged it with my biggest rival who, you asked me kind of why did I start, and I said, and I wanted to tell you that this one guy actually like said to me, you'll never surf better than me. And I went, I'll show you, dude. And I just, like, that was it, man. And that made me, and then I dinged his board. So I had to pay this money to get his board fixed. And,
Oh, goodness.
I just went, no way, I'm going to fly my own surfboard. And I got my own country rhythm, my single fin, and then eventually got a little twin fin stabilizer. I think I sent you a photo of me surfing S.S.As.
Yes.
I think I came fourth at J Bay. That was one of my S.S.As. And then the next year, I think I won it. That was in Vic Bay. And I mean, I just loved the sea. It wasn't about competing. It was just, it gave me an excuse maybe to just go surf more. I've been trying to analyze why did I love competition for over 40 years? Why? And I just think it's because I love the thrill of competing and like training and driving myself to get better. And I started to notice like people took like notice of me. Maybe it was a bit of, I don't know, maybe a bit of, I enjoyed that feeling of adoration. I don't know. I mean, I did karate and I loved that feeling of, people watching me because I used to be very shy. I know you'll never believe this, but I did ballet. And I even think that helped surfing a lot. And then I used to run off the stage. I was petrified.
Wow.
I really was so scared to actually do anything and let anyone see me, and look at me because I thought I was ugly and I was like this little scarecrow-looking person because my mom said I was like this fat baby until 2, didn't talk. And then when I turned 2, I just jumped up and I started running around and talking. And I haven't stopped. So I think my ADHD kicked in. I'm a bit of an ADD type. I don't know. People have said, "Oh, you're so busy and energetic," and I don't know. It's just me. I just love being busy. I love being full of energy. I think I'm starting to try to slow myself down. Believe it or not, nowadays, I'm trying to say, look, conserve your energy for where it's needed. And look, I'm still loving surfing. I'll go surfing every day still. That's why I'm loving living in Cape Town and going to Muizenberg, because you can get surf every day, onshore, offshore, big, small, doesn't matter. I'll get in it. I'm not one of these that go, oh, I don't like surfing that. I surf whatever it is when I get to the beach. Got to some mics the other day. I was going to jump off the point, and I went, no, I'm going to paddle out. Anyway, I landed up talking to this guy, and we had the most fascinating time chatting, and now he's thinking of moving to Cape Town. I'm like, yeah, maybe you can buy my house. And, we were having a fat chat, and I said, why wouldn't you want to live here? His mom actually has left him a house in Margate. I'm like, why did you live here? And he's an engineer, and he's like, nah, not really for me. But you know what I mean? We just chatted, and I feel like I'm kind of like this person who kind of is a channel for, I don't know, for God, for energy to come through me, to talk to people, to maybe enlighten them, to maybe help them. I don't know. I just feel like surfing kind of is my kind of, I don't know, I think it's more my escape almost from the world in a way, but also my connection in some ways to connect to some people.
Sure.
And I've got a little group of moms in Cape Town that anytime I see them surfing, I go and paddle over to where they're surfing, watch them and say, yeah, dude, you know why you fell off there? Hey, you didn't put your weight on on your back foot. And then the next turn, they'll put it and they make it, and I'm like, okay, they're listening to me. Because they kind of watch me and they know, I can do a tail slide, I can still cut back into the foam, I can still dash a lip. I mean, I've seen some groms like staring at me going, who are you, and I'm just like, don't worry, you don't know who I am. It's okay, just carry on surfing, But I just love surfing, I really do. It's in my blood.
No, sure. Your career has definitely proved that. Listen, Kay, and now, so you came down from Joburg, you went to the beach, you ended up on the KwaZulu-Natal lower south coast. So and you mentioned Life Saving Club. Would that have been Margate Surf Life Saving or St. Michael's?
Yes. No, Margate.
Okay.
I was a Margate nipper, Margate junior, and then I only became a junior with Saints after that because we moved to Uvongo. Actually, we moved to Sea Park, and then we moved back to Uvongo.
Okay.
Moved around a bit. My first building a house in Margate. And then, then got based in Margate. But then by then I had a little motorbike, and I'd like whiz off to some mics.
Okay.
And I was a little, lifesaver. You did little duties on the weekends. Yeah. And I really was into life saving. And the whole SBA thing. I got my SBA as soon as I could. I just loved life saving. I was probably the first ever girl to do S.A. nipper champs.
Oh, right.
I remember competing. I was like looking around going, there's no girls, it's just boys here.
Wow.
And yeah, I was the first girl. I think I came fourth in essays in flags.
Wow.
And I was really quick and agile. And I think that's when I realized, you know what, you actually are as good as a boy at that age. And then, yeah, obviously, you know, running in speed, they started beating me and things. And, I realized, look, I'm not a boy. I'm not as good. I'm not a boy, but I'm not as good as a boy. You know what I mean?
No, sure.
I surf like a boy. I love surfing.
Yeah.
I mean, my heroes. You ask me, who's your heroes? I mean, Sean Thompson, Martin Potter, Tom Curran. You know, I can name, even like females. I didn't even know. I knew of Margot Berg. I'd heard of this Hawaiian and seen a few of her in the mag going straight, and I went, nah, I want to do moves, and then started to see Lane Beachley and Lisa Anderson. I actually competed, believe it or not, against them both.
Okay.
Lisa Anderson beat me in the one, that kind of Scallum tour we did during apartheid years. We sneaked into America in California, and I surfed in some S.S.A. Remember the National Scholastic Surfing Association? It's still going now. It's got very big. It was Kelly Slater actually got big soon. He's obviously my latest hero. He's still my hero. But Sean Thompson was my first hero. And yeah, I surfed against Lisa Anderson and she beat me. And I got to the beach going, I must have won that. Because, I was just banging. And then Graham Hines said, why didn't you do a second move? I said, because it closed down. He said, why didn't you do a floater? I was like, well, because I kicked out, because there was no more wave. And that's how she beat me. She actually beat me because she did a floater. And we were doing move for move on waves. And yeah, she beat me. But yeah, I think I always felt I had the chance to be the world champ because I surfed against Wendy Buerta and did beat her in Portugal, but then she did beat me, after that. But, it wasn't meant to be, Karl. I kept asking, when I went to Australia, why didn't my dad send me to the one compo where I know, Bells Beach, it was my size, my kind of wave. Man, if you just bet some money on me, he probably would have won, and I would have probably then become, quite famous because I was a South African. Then I hadn't yet got my Aussie passport. Long story, but anyway, I didn't have an Aussie passport then, even though my dad was born in Oz, and he went back to live there. Yeah, and I just love South Africa. I'm going to be honest. I actually have been around the world. I think I've surfed in like 14, 15 countries. And I just love South Africa. I really come back here. I'm disgusted at what's happening with, the crime, etc.
Sure.
I've been a victim of crime a few times and kicked a few guys' ass, run after them down the road and going to dive tackle them for my phone, and then driven to gangsters and said, go and fetch my phone whilst I'm bringing the cops. And suddenly my phone appears, like I'm not scared of them, and I've got a black belt in karate. You probably all know that. And I think that also is what's helped me become such a good surfer, and such a good competitor, because I think it is one of the best sports to ever do for any sport. And I've told this to many people, and as soon as the kids start doing karate, man, they start doing well in soccer, they start doing well in netball or whatever, hockey, it's such a good all-round sport. And if you combine that with swimming or water polo or surfing or bodyboarding, you've got it all. You've got an all-round body fitness.
Yeah.
At my age right now, I have been surfing, I told you I started surfing very young. And, look, I've been surfing competitively for over 40 years. They asked me to surf SAs again this year, and I'm going, guys, I retired, man. And they're like, no, but we really want you to surf. I said, I don't even surf a longboard. I'm surfing a shortboard now. I really want to train to do the Masters. Worlds, maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm good enough. But, that's kind of been always my dream to do the Worlds again. And South Africa blocked me from taking part for Britain when I was in Britain and won the British National Champs, and I was there like number one. And then, South Africa said, no, you can't compete because you've competed for South Africa within the last 3 years. And there's some rule in the ISA. Okay. Anyway, I was a bit sad, and then I went, you know what? I probably would have chowed all the South African girls it obviously was a good plan for them to do that. And it wasn't meant to be. I mean, from there I went to Sri Lanka and I helped out after the tsunami. And I had a year of my life, best year of my life, teaching children, getting people back in the water, getting guys to surf. They didn't even understand the surfing criteria. It's not about riding the wave as long as you can. It's about doing maneuvers and taught them, how to do maneuvers. And, I really had like a fantastic life, in Britain. And it wasn't meant to be that I was meant to become almost famous in the whole, worlds and Olympic side of things. Because I know I could have probably. I was just a bit naughty when I was young, and I think I was overconfident as well. I've been trying to analyze why, I wasn't ever the best in the world. Although people, whenever they meet me, they go, "Oh, this is my friend, she's number one in the world." I go, "No, I'm not, man. I've just won the S.A. champs 8 times." Oh, well, it's the same thing. I'm like, no, I haven't. The best in the world was probably third when I, came third in the Gunston, in 1999 or whatever, 2000. And they're going, "Yeah, but you still surfed against the best in the world." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't win."
Yeah.
And they're like, "So what? You're still one of the world's best." And I'm like, I probably was scared. A lot of people in the world were probably scared when they saw my name. So I can say I probably was one of the best free surfers. Because in a free surfing situation, I mean, I've even seen guys go, "Kay, you could win this." When I was surfing in Brazil, they said, "You could win this." Because I was just ripping. And then it comes to the contest, and I get all freaked out, and whoops, knocked out in the quarters or semis or whatever. So, I think contests are a different ball game. I think
absolutely. Yeah.
I was overconfident. I think I've got to be honest. I think Martin Potter and Sean Thompson, because they came to fame so fast. And I think also that was kind of my problem. And I did think I was the best in South Africa. Oh, I'm going to do so well. Went and surfed my first pro contest in England, and I nearly won it. Who knocked me out? Wendy Water.
Oh,
in the
really?
semis, I came like, whatever, fifth. And won like a lot of money, and, well, it was spent in France. Don't worry. I bought a van, and the van blew up and landed up coming nothing in France and crawling back to England and, working under the radar there to just survive and get back to America to do the contest in Hawaii. So that was my year on the tour, and then wasn't allowed in Brazil and wasn't allowed in Japan and wasn't allowed to go to different countries because I was a South African. So, I didn't hold it against them because I was like, South Africa's really been really cracked to the, indigenous population. I mean, it's their country. That's not the, in my views, it definitely belongs to the Khoisan. It doesn't belong to whoever rules it now. I'm not saying that in any malicious way. It's just I'm a history teacher, and I go, if you go back to the roots, I mean, who really was in Cape Town when the British and the Dutch arrived? It was really them. And, I kind of look back and I go, I feel so sorry for them that they were never given what's rightly theirs, and they still haven't been given what's rightly theirs. I think, like politically, I just want to say, I don't want to like harp on about anything, but there's been a few fantastic surfers in this country, like Cass Collier, like names, and like Alfonso, who, man, he's brilliant on the longboard. And I look at him compared to someone like, Mouse Wilson, not Mouse Wilson, Mouse
Moya,
world champion, Matthew Moya, Mouse. And I go, they could have been world champs, but they just, wrong time, wrong place, not enough opportunity, whatever. We were exposed to a lot of competition, which really helped us to develop. I don't want to say Europeans, I just want to say African, white Africans, because that's what I see I am. I'm a South African, but I really feel African. I've been to Mozambique, I've been to, some countries in Africa, and I'm so an African. I love Africa. And, I think that's why I think I've always stayed here for so long and fell in love with Africans, South Africans, and just love being here. Yeah.
Sure.
I think your next question was the first win. I'm just going on quickly and just telling you.
Kay, can I just hit a rewind here? Hit a quick rewind here.
Rewind. No,
Okay,
no.
so let's go back to Margate Beach, the Surf Life Saving Club, and let's go back to that time. Now get that in your mind. Okay, Margate Life Saving Club's on the beach. You've just bought you rode your brother's big longboard and all that. You spoke about having a single fin country rhythm. Your early boards, were they all country rhythms? And when did you? I noticed when I lived on the coast and when I was surfing, you rode a lot of safaris when in the years that we lived on the coast at the same time. What was your transition? Did you start with Lyle Coney sticks, then off to safari, or how did it all work for you?
No, then I bought a wedge, and they gave me a really good deal, and I surfed Peter Mace's boards.
Okay, wow.
Peter Mace. Gary was surfing with me for Southern Natal, and Justin Mace. I mean, them also. They pushed me as well, you know.
Good guys, those.
Their boards for, I think it was like 5 or 6 years, and then Safari offered me just, you know, because Graham Hines was the coach of the Springbok team.
Okay.
Spider Murphy obviously, you know, said to me, look, you know, I make girls really good girls surfboards. Wouldn't you like one of mine? And I was like, okay, I'll save up. And I got my first board from them. And they used to do like a rotation deal where I paid, obviously, you know, extra, but I gave back my boards or whatever, and they sold them or whatever.
Okay.
And I did safari for my whole competitive career pretty much.
Wow.
When I really started getting excellent. I can attribute it to Spider's boards. I really can. I mean, even now, I get on a Spider and it feels like I've come home.
Okay.
And I haven't bought one of his boards for years. I haven't, you know, I've always wanted to make my own surfboard. I know this is a bit of a dream that still hasn't happened, but I bought the blank and I was like all ready to start it, and then I had a bit of a drama in my life, and then now I'm trying to sell my house. It's just, you know, it's just not the right time. I kind of feel it's still a dream, and I'm like kind of a Shane Oran of women surfing. I see myself as that. I mean, I don't see other women surfing funny fins and different boards and riding a knee board as a surfboard, and I love it. And it's amazing. If I feel like kneeling, I kneel. If I feel like lying down, I lie. If I want to jump up and surf, I jump up and surf. And it's just been such a weird transition for me to just try different boards and just play and just like do a 360 if I feel like it, which I'm still battling to pull a proper one. But I do like kind of my little slidey stuff and on a cutback 360 kind of thing. But you know what I mean? I haven't, you know, wanted to almost go away from just having fun. And that's where I've moved now. But yeah, I can say Spider really, really helped me. He couldn't help me financially until he got a partner that really helped me a lot. He sent boards to Sri Lanka. I'm sure there's still a lot of his boards there.
Wow.
I even think they're selling them there.
Sri Lanka, really?
I mean, he donated boards to, you know, the kids who lost surfboards. A lot of surfboards were washed out to sea, you know, in that tsunami. I mean, kids were crying, coming to me saying, oh, please, let me ride your surfboard. Can I buy a surfboard from you? And I'm riding these brand new boards. And I landed up organizing surfboard contests and giving them away as prizes, you know, because, you know, that was, you know, how, you know, I could stimulate surfing there. Okay. And I mean, some of them got really good.
Wow.
And I don't know where it's going now. I think they are in the Olympics or in the World Games.
Okay.
You know, not Olympics. I don't know when the whole world's going to be in the Olympics, but it's more a unique thing. I don't know. I don't see the Olympic surfing as being a World Games style context. I mean, we surfed against however many 52 countries. You know, it was the world groups of surfers, and even if it was Norway or Sweden taking part, they had their 5 little surfers, you know, or Germany started off with, I think, 10 or whatever, you know, where we had a full complement of 25 surfers or whatever, you know, when they had that whole different divisions and knee borders when you took part, and Giggs was the world champ like 45 times, you know what I mean?
Jeez,
You know, and
he did win a lot, eh? Yeah.
You know, it was such a beautiful vibe, and it's lost. I mean, it's all just now short board, aggressive stuff, and, you know, competitive and world, that you know, WSL competitors go and surf in the World Games. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be for amateurs or for budding professionals.
You know,
it shouldn't allow anyone that's in the WSL.
I'm glad you said that, Kay.
It's not fair.
It's not.
Kelly Slater, and they shouldn't even compete in that. And they didn't want to. They're only doing it because their country says, you got to surf it for us. And they're going, I don't even think they even wanted to. But they did, you know. Martin Potter surfing for England. Look, he would have been, look, that was almost fair until he became, WSL level. I don't know if you can even call it that. I don't know how it changed that it became so professionalized. Because you're surfing against kids that have got to raise money to get there. It's like, come on, it's not fair. Every World Games I went to, I had to pay myself. I had to go and sell tickets. I had to go and sell surfboards, you know what I mean? And raise money. And it wasn't a professional thing. Now you've got these pros who are sponsored by whoever whipping in there and whipping our butts. And it's like, come on, it's not meant to be that. It's meant to be a thing for kids who are on the amateur level. But anyway, it's never going to be the same again. I don't think the ISA could ever take it backwards, you know. Surfing's become such a different thing, the whole coaching thing. It's just, not coaching, surf lessons and, having people that, are teaching surfing, and they're not even doing their job properly, because if you think about it, kids are getting hurt. I mean, I look at Muizenberg, how many people get hurt there? I got 2 surfboards in my face once, because these 2 girls rode towards me, and I'm like going, oh, great, they can surf, and then they went straight into me and banged into my mouth, and I was like, why didn't you do a turn? Why didn't you look in front of you? Where's your coach, man? Where's your surfing instructors? You're supposed to have surfing instructors. Why aren't they teaching you? Look where you're going. Gee, man, that's like the most basic rule. Look behind you, nobody going. Okay, look in front of you, now go. Geez, they rode straight into me, you know what I mean? I'm going, why are these instructors not teaching people the basics? Look at the nose of your surfboard, where you're going. Don't just look at the wave. Don't just look at behind you. Don't not look behind you. You could get a surfboard in your, private, It could be really painful. Like, I nearly shot my board at that guy in Hawaii, I mean, it could be dangerous. And it is dangerous. It's a dangerous sport. I mean, I had surfboards in my head and in my legs and on my hand and rocks cutting me in J-Bay. I mean, we've all had accidents and blood, like really serious stitches and serious injuries, So it's a difficult sport. It's definitely one of the hardest sports, and it's treated lightly. It shouldn't be. There should be a restriction on coaches heavily imposed, and it's not. I mean, any boyfriend of his girlfriend can take his little chick Adida to go teach her a surfing lesson, and I kind of go, great, keep them away from these other guys who are giving lessons, That's just my little rant about where surfing's going now. I just kind of a bit scared of where it's going, and it's dangerous. It really is a dangerous sport.
Sure. Listen,
I just hope those who can surf know it.
Yeah, sure. Listen, Kay, twice now you've brought up Hawaii. So let's go to Hawaii now. When did you go there, and what were you on tour? Just let's talk about that for a bit. Hawaii. When you went there, what you were doing there?
I turned professional in the early 2000s. Went on tour and got to Hawaii. Luckily, I had given a person who was Corin Gallagher a lift through France, and then the van blew up. But anyway, we rented cars together and 25 surfboards on the roof, and off we went to the different contests, Lakanu and Barritz and etc. And then eventually got back to England, and I ended up getting back to Hawaii, worked for the S.S.A. and then got enough money to do the rest of the WCT, the World Championship Tour, I think it was called then, and went to Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii was quite an experience, hey? Scary.
Yeah,
Very,
I found it very scary. Yeah.
South Coast kid, yeah.
Yes.
And I'd surfed some big stuff. I mean, I surfed with the Dave Belonges and the, Joff Hoffman, who charged massive waves at the max, and they'd go, and Freddie van der Berg, you're coming out with us, and I'd be like petrified, shaking and still on the rocks, and I haven't even jumped in the water, and they like paddling behind me, pushing me, saying, go, 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 just keep battling, and we'd get out to the back, and these monsters, and I mean, I once must have caught about a 16-foot wave at St. Mark's and screamed all the way to K Bay. I mean, it was just massive. And I mean, I thought, okay, when I get to Hawaii, I'll be fine, on my little 6'6". And then when I got there and these waves, the power was a lot like K.Z.N, in a big day. It was a lot like that power, but on rock, and it was scary. And the barrels and taking off in pipeline and backhand and this whole thing just going, and I was like, whoa, and it wasn't even big. It was like 4 foot, and I was just saying, yeah, it's scary. I could see the coral, and going, you fall off and you're dead, man. No, it was scary, but no, I had some good surf. I had Lonnie Kay's classic.
Okay.
Really drowned. I think I was actually praying underwater, going, okay, God, if this is where I'm meant to die, it's okay. I'm okay. I died surfing. And next thing, push, I popped to the surface. He must have said, no, you've got work to do, chick. Anyway, yeah, I paddled back out because I was sitting on the beach going, like thinking you've nearly died. That was the worst experience. I mean, I must have been tumbled 400 meters.
Gee whiz.
My board doing the tombstone. I mean, and nobody helping me, These big Hawaiians were like, stupid woman. And actually, it was my wave. I got dropped in by this massive Hawaiian who just did this biggest bottom turn, and I didn't want to ding my board. Girls don't ding their boards, especially in Hawaii, because you don't get it back for like 5 days, because they make sure. Anyway, no, I'm just teasing. I didn't know enough about the Hawaiian thing there. And yeah, I sat on the beach and I knew they're only coming to fetch me in an hour. I was like, no, I'm going back out. And I paddled back out, because it's an easy little paddle out in the rip. And then got back to the back, and I, see all these big Hawaiians, and I'm like paddling past them. Anyway, this big Hawaiian paddles up to me and says, hey, I'm really sorry, chick. And I was like, oh, it was you. Oh, yeah, I can see by your baggies it was you. I said, oh, it's okay, I made it. And he said, yeah, I saw that. And he's like, just sit over here. And he's like, oh, I'll sit over there. Anyway, the next big set came through. First wave, paddled over it. The next wave. Anyway, I'm looking at it, and he turns and he starts paddling, and he starts shouting at me, paddle, girl, get a girl, or whatever he said, paddle. And I was like, yes. And I caught the wave all the way in. It was the best wave I ever had in Hawaii. So, yeah. I had that, and then in the contest, I had this massive bomb. It must have been, I called it 20-something foot, 24 foot, and everyone's laughing at me. That one was like 18, and I'm going, geez, I said 16 foot in South Africa, man. It was bigger. I was going backwards. I was getting sucked up backwards, man. And I'm paddling, and nothing happened. I just couldn't go down that thing. It was just, the scariest thing ever, and I was on an 8-8. It felt like a skateboard. It was like,
no way.
Down this massive wave.
Where was that, Kay? Was that at Sunset or Haleiwa or where?
Sunset.
Oh, my goodness.
No, Sunset.
Oh.
No, Sunset. It was massive Sunset. Yeah, the day before, it was tiny. And then the swell started picking up, and I didn't want to go to Haleiwa, and that contest had gone there, and I was like, or some other contest. Anyway, all the competitors weren't there, and there was just me and about 2 other guys surfing Sunset. And it was small, but it was fun. It was lekker. And it was just getting bigger and bigger, and then one of these massive closeout sets came, and the guy next to me and I just dived, and we got nailed. Anyway, my leash didn't snap. It got very long, but it didn't snap. Anyway, his board snapped.
Wow.
And his leash snapped. So I like helped him in a little bit, but then he just like carried on swimming. He got to the beach. His board was washed out to sea. And I was out there like, I felt like I was on my own, and it was really hairy. Anyway, I surfed a little bit longer, and then, I remember this old, what's his name? Oh, anyway, one of my heroes, Brad Gerlach, came out.
Okay, wow.
And he's sitting next to me on my inside, because I've been there, so I'm like, sitting on the outside. And he, like, turned and looked at me, and he, oh, please, can I go? And I was dropping myself. I was like, I don't even know if I can go. And I was waiting for someone to tell me to go, It kind of just tell me to go and I'll go, Anyway, nobody would shout me onto the wave, so I just thought, and he said, can I go? I was like, yo, go. And I pulled back. But it was a monster, and like then I realized, I'm going to have to really go tomorrow. And unfortunately, the second wave in that contest was bigger, and I pulled out of it, and somebody was on my shoulder who had an easier takeoff and took off, and actually they beat me, and I got knocked out. But, and that would have been, I think, a big turning point for me. I was the highest-ranked African surfer that year on the World Tour, but, I mean, Africa was nothing there. Then we weren't seen as a force. South Africans were nothing. I mean, Sean Thompson, by that stage, had kind of, like, faded a bit out. Martin Potter was surfing for Britain. There were no really, South Africans really doing brilliantly, so it wasn't like we were seen as being a big force on the like kind of Hawaiian and World Tour.
Okay.
So it was kind of a bit sad because Wendy Boerter that year won it. I remember taking a photo with her at the awards function, and I looked at her going, that could have been me. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually glad it's not me, because everyone's staring at her, and you know what? Maybe this is not meant to be for me. And it actually was a bit of a sigh of relief, because I was a teacher. I had become a qualified teacher.
Okay.
And I kind of felt like I must go back and teach.
Okay.
This is going to be my thing. And it is what I did. Yeah. After Hawaii, I went back to South Africa in the end and started teaching, because I was broke. So I had to teach.
Yeah. Okay, so Kay, so now we've just spoken about Hawaii. I want to jog you down memory lane. Your Springbok, you mentioned that you're a Bok. How many times did you get your colours, Kay? Can you remember?
I think it was 7, because I tried to go to all the countries, and in South Africa, the Rebel tours that came here. Yeah, it was about 7 times.
Okay.
That I actually got award. Well, it was, believe it or not, it was 3 Springbok colours and 4 Protea. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah,
Brazil
sure.
and Portugal and Brazil, etc. That was all Protea.
Okay.
That was the new South Africa team.
Well, yeah, no, sure. And then Kay, SA titles. Did you collect a couple along the way?
Yeah, it over the span of years, I can't say it was consecutive. Heather Clark clapped my bum after she started, really getting good, and Wendy Boerter beat me, and then she turned pro, and then I carried on winning a bit, and, I dominated a bit for a few years. But, it wasn't consecutive. So I think I won something like 8 titles. But, if I really count the amount of titles in longboarding as well, and in, other divisions other than the open division.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few, yeah.
Okay.
But, 8 open women, which I'm quite proud of, because, surfing open division, you're surfing against the best.
Sure,
and,
absolutely.
Look, Bianca Buitendag, I don't think she could beat me, at one stage. And I used to laugh at her, Vic Bay, and that's her home break, and I'd be like, out there, loving taking off, that kind of hustling everyone at supers. And, I was just quite a dog in the water. I'm actually quite embarrassed about how I was as a competitor. But, I tell you what, you've got to be that, And, I talked, when I heard your podcast with Candy Burns, and I felt so sorry for her because, many times, she'd come second, and get the bronze or the gold, the silver, and I'd win, and, Tamaris, and, and I was like, I'm so sorry for them sometimes, but it was just my competitive nature, I think, that just drove me to want to, obviously, do well.
Kate, just listening to you with the titles that you've got, it reminds, when I was chatting to Chris Knudsen a couple of months ago, he's also a very, very decorated South African surfer. My goodness, he's got truckloads of titles. So it's kind of like you and Chris are up there, for who's got the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
No. He hasn't got as many open titles. No, nobody in this country has.
Okay. Wow. So
he's got Kahuna and veterans and whatever age group, but to surf open, no. He had 4 or 5 or 6. Okay. I think I've got 7. I think Heather Clark's got as many as me or something. I don't know, but I know there's no man that's ever won as many as me and Heather. I think Heather and I are both on 7 or something. I don't know. Okay. 8. I don't know. Someone told me 8, and then I looked up. I googled and it's 8. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I've been telling everyone it was 7. So, yeah. I don't count them. I just got the medals hanging around and losing them and giving them away and whatever, and the T-shirts and it's kind of I don't think it was for me like Kelly Slater got to his 11th. I wasn't like that, wanting to get to 10. I was just enjoying my surfing, and then when I started to actually getting to the point where I didn't train, I didn't surf as much. I was more into the teaching and giving my in kind of that side of things. I didn't do obviously as well. You can't. You've got to be extremely dedicated. If you want to be the best in South Africa, you want to be the best in the world, you have to surf every day in whatever conditions.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a sacrifice. It's huge. And even now, I don't even think now I could do it. I would have to be retired from teaching, sure. Which is coming soon, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if I would do it again. I don't have the drive. I don't have the... It's disgusting to say, but I don't have the balls really to take on huge stuff like I used to. When I fall now, I hurt. Sure. I fell the other day to and I popped my shoulder out, and it's only now healing. Wow. And it's been years. It's a tough thing when you hurt yourself as an older person, and it's not easy.
Okay, I just want to, as you're speaking there, something came to mind. You've been inducted to is it the South African Surfers Hall of Fame?
Walk of Fame, yeah.
Walk of Fame, that's it.
Yeah, Walk. So, Musenberg, yeah.
So tell us more about that, Kay, because that's a huge achievement. Well done, congratulations.
I got contacted, and they said to me, "Oh, you getting a plaque?" And it was during COVID, so there was no ceremony or anything. 2021, and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And what do I have to do? Oh no, you just have to give us a little write-up and some pictures and a video or a bit of whatever of yourself.
Yeah. And
they put it on Facebook. It was a bit of a thing, which is, it's great, to at least be decorated for. I do think I did push South African surfing to quite good levels, especially in the women's realm,
Okay.
And girls. I think men as well, because they used to come surf with me and they'd sometimes get out the water and I'd be like, oh, where are they going? I felt so bad taking all the waves. I know I'm just the real guts in the water. Not anymore. Yeah, I'm quite nice. You can come surf with me now. You'll see I'm very nice.
Geez, Kay, if I got down to St. Michael's now and waxed up, and I'd probably paddle from the beach because my confidence would have been. I don't have the confidence to jump off St. Mark's like I once was able to. I'd have to. That's a build-up. You got to get there. I doubt I'd make it out in 2 to 3 feet. I think I'd battle. Yeah.
You know what? The other day I surfed St. Mark's. I'm not lying. It was a sandbank. You could walk to backline.
No
but
way.
What a barrel as you hit that from outside. I mean, amazing. Yeah. It doesn't happen often. Yeah.
Yes,
normally that big channel all the way, you know.
You know, talking.
So I walked to Blacktown the other day. It was quite funny. Yeah.
I was looking for something in my bookshelf the other day, and I found a picture that was a photographer, Justin Howes, took a picture of me years and years ago, standing on the bricks at St. Mark's. In fact, it's. Give me one moment, Jack.
I saw it.
I'll pull it out here.
Oh man! Well, show me.
Where did I had it here somewhere? Just give me a moment, Kay.
Well, while you're there, I'm going to just tell the crowd. Look, I want to talk to you about this Karl Coates. He gave me. Well, he actually sold me, but gave it 1,000 rand or something stupid. A longboard that I had for years, and actually took to Cape Town, and it made me start surfing longboard. I have to still thank you for that, because I really fell in love with longboarding, and I think it took me back to my roots. But yeah, you're really a good shaper, hey, Karl.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
There's a bit of glare there, but for the folks that are listening and online here, I'm just showing Kay a picture that Justin Howes took. It says here, St. Mark's, South Africa, circa 2003-4. Yeah, so standing on that bricks at St. Mark's. And
wow.
that board there was a Huey Thompson. It was called a wet inverted. Max Wetland came up with some design where the rails were like a snowboard. They were like pulled in the center. And it was
wow.
It was cool. But anyway, getting back to St. Mark's, you know, on the big days, when I stop and think about St. Mark's, my heart starts racing, because you know when it's like 6 to 8 feet and you're standing on the bricks and you're watching those sets up there by Orange Rocks and you can check them marching in.
Yeah.
I still get that feeling. I still get that like, ooh, and you've got to go, because if you turn and walk off the bricks, then you're just no, mate. You got to jump.
You got to jump. You got to jump and paddle your heart out. Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
For the faint-hearted. In big stuff. Look, I surfed at Masters. Candy was talking about. She came down to the Masters and watched. And I surfed the Masters. And I mean, I just before that was actually that thing where I was running down the freeway after this guy, and I hurt my arm because I was trying to hold my phone and he was pulling it out the window. Anyway, long story short, I hurt my shoulder. So when I got to S.A.'s, my shoulder was already in pain. And I had to go and paddle this massive wave that were coming through. Because it was beautiful in the beginning, and then it just got bigger and bigger. I mean, Chris Baker was just having it all of his life. I mean, this was humongous. Anyway, cut a long story short, I just said to them, I'm actually going to not be able to surf if you don't just take us to the back line and the jet ski.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Heather actually jumped, made it out, believe it or not. But she surfs there every day. So, you know, that confidence and that
She's got it.
She's got when she jumped in big stuff, any stuff. You know, I had it. I mean, I've jumped in 12, 13 foot. I know. It was big. Because I was sitting out there shivering and I was saying to the guys, like, oh, aren't you scared? And they were like, yeah. I said, but you don't show it. They say, well, we just don't show it. But we just as petrified as you are. And I'm like sitting there shivering, you know, and somebody must have been like actually just holding themselves shivering. But the rush when you catch something like that, obviously it's worth it. But it's really scary because you get pounded by a set, you feel like you're drowning, you know, it's so scary.
Yes.
And when you get caught in that, like almost, I don't know what it's called, it's almost like a backwash, tumble, turning place on the sandbank. I got caught there once where I couldn't get my board out of getting nailed and me getting nailed, where I actually found a way where you just push your board actually towards the beach, and as that pounding wave lands on you, it then drags you away from that horrible drowning feeling where you actually just feel like you're just never going to get out of there.
Yes,
and yeah, I landed on the rocks, but I mean, at least I got to the beach. But it's hairy. It's really scary.
Yes, I've been properly boned at that place. Jeez, like, my goodness gracious. St. Mark's.
Yeah. It's scary. And Southbrom, hey, Southbrom, I've also nearly landed on the rocks and been, really wiped out badly there. I just turn around and head for the beach and just, no. I mean, then I rode over a shark at Southbrom. I want to tell you the story. So I tell the story to my kids at school because they go, "Oh, Miss, did you see a shark?" I said, "Well, I've seen a few, I surfed over one the other day there, Luxembourg by the river. It wasn't big. It was like that big. It probably would have bitten me and I probably would have bashed its head in against my surfboard. There's no way it would have, eaten me. But no, the one that would have eaten me was at Southbrom. And it was just after the sardine rush.
Eish.
And you know where the river comes out?
Yeah.
Anyway, there was this guy surfing. And I got there and we hadn't surfed the whole, sardine rush was like a month. And I was hanging for a surf and I saw him and I was like, I'm going to go surf. And my friends were all going, no, please don't. I don't feel good about it. And, girls always have the sixth sense. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go. I'm a little bit scared, but I'll just jump off here, jump off the swimming pool. It's just a little mid-break wave. Anyway, as I jump off, this guy catches a wave. And I'm like, oh, I'm all by myself. No 50% anymore. So I always used to say to myself, well, you get 50% chance of getting a chance. Anyway, he gets to the beach and he's like waving his arms and he's like, and I'm like, oh, okay, I must go in, Anyway, this perfect wave comes and I take off, bottom turn, smack off the top, down, cut back, run, just chong, bang, bang, all the way to the beach. Anyway, he runs up to me. I don't know who he is. I mean, I've never seen him in my life. I just, Anyway, he's like, cool wave, but you surfed over a shark. I'm like, I don't talk rubbish. Where? He said, no, over there. When you took off, there was this thing right under you. I promise you. I saw it going under you. It was like this really big black shark. I don't know what it was. It was big. It was like, I'm like, oh, yeah, where? Anyway, nothing, I'm standing in the shower and I turn and I look because now I'm like curious and I just see this massive, it must have been 4 meters or something. Man, it was huge, just going through a wave. So it was cruising, looking for those that had, the crocodile kind of pieces that come out the river there,
Yes,
Southbrom.
like
Weird stuff going down there. Anyway, cut long story short, I've never, ever surfed again after the shark nets were up and just put in. I was like, no. So, yeah, that was true story. I did actually surf over a shark, and there was a guy took a photo. It probably was one of those, they obviously, Photoshop, and they stuck the shark under the sky, and I was like, that actually happened to me. That really happened to me, but water was brown. I didn't see that shark until I got to the beach, and then I saw it kind of going through a green kind of browny wave.
Eesh.
But yeah, Southland's heavy, hey?
Yes.
You surfed it a lot. I mean, that wave that you showed me where you were getting barreled, that's a heavy wave, hey?
Yeah, when it's on, it's a great place when it's on, eh? Wow. And also, yeah, just that whole coastline, Kay, I mean, it's full up of some good points, eh? My goodness. Jeez. Yeah, really.
Yeah. I love your farm, man. That is one of my favorites. Yeah, like people that do go there, regulars that go there. I'm sure they go to other places as well. There are even spots like you told me the other day. There's spots better than that. Go further south, and I'm like, wow. I've surfed 1 or 2 of them, but I mean, really, it's such good waves.
Yeah.
Really amazing waves. And look, you know what? We need more surfers in the water there. So I hope some of you guys go down there and surf it a bit more and respect the locals, Wingnut and those guys.
Oh, Wingnut. Jeez, I haven't heard of that bloke in ages, eh? Wow.
No, he's written. He won essays. Anton Coleman won essays. Yeah, at St. Mike's. And his division, I don't know whatever division he was in, Super Masters or whatever. I don't know, Grandmasters. I don't even take the note of the guys' divisions. Wow. And the women's divisions are like, open. Oh, kiddies, obviously, under this, under that. Never had that in my day. It was everybody surfs open. Anyway.
Yeah. Listen, Kay,
under 12, under 13, under 16, open.
I want to change the conversation slightly here. I want to talk about women surfing currently in South Africa. I've got to be honest. I haven't followed South African surfing for a while, so I'm not. I don't know who's doing what and all that stuff. But right now, who are the who? In fact, the last time I
you know what? I don't even know. You know what? I got to be honest. I don't even know. I know there's one or two that are trying to make it on the world tour.
Okay.
It's a bit like when Heather and I started out, and even the Tasha Mentasti and the Matthews, what's her name, trying to make it on the world tour.
Rings a bell. I
can't.
Man,
Kelly Matthews' daughter. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. You know, like there's a whole group of us, you know, trying to make it with our little pennies, trying to make it against these Americans who, you know, flashy around, you know, onto the world tour with their dollars, who could stay in hotels and could stay in maybe a backpacker even, where we were camping it or living in our cars or sleeping in our board bags because we just couldn't afford to actually get into, you know, competitions and pay for accommodation because it was just too expensive.
Yeah.
It was over the top for us, you know, and you've got to pay so much to enter contests. I mean, you're paying dollars, and now you've got no sponsor who's really giving you money. I mean, they're giving you a bit, but it's not enough to really even style, you know. You are groveling contest to contest. The only one who styled it was kind of Wendy Butch, and even then, I think she groveled a lot of the time with Dave Herbie. I think they shared accommodation to just get to the next contest and won money to get to the next. And I think if she hadn't beaten me even in that England contest, I think she was, you know, pretty much not going to win the world title. You know, it was that heavy for us because our rand has always been a little bit weaker than that dollar, you know. And the world tour's dollars, baby. When I won dollars, man, I felt like I was going to win the world. Here I come, you know.
Jeez.
And, yeah, that was whipped away very quickly when you want to travel the world and do the world, you know.
In fact, you say that you're not sure of who's doing what in the women's side of surfing now in South Africa. The last time I saw was when Bianca Buitendag got a silver at the Olympics.
Yeah. There's been quite a
Yeah.
few since then. Sarah Baum, you know, there's some fantastic girl surfers coming up. But I can't say they're world class yet.
Okay.
Yet. They're getting there. There's definitely a move, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
And I think sponsors are realizing they have to help them. And I think that's the only way they'll ever get anywhere is sponsors start paying them a salary. You know, Sharon was giving me clothing and a tiny bit of a pittance of money or to enter contests and, you know, maybe get me to one or two contests. But Billabong wouldn't help me. Billabong, the year I turned pro, they pulled the sponsorship for women. And we're talking the top in the world.
Oh, no.
Lost out. Yeah, and I lost out. And that was my opportunity then. So you know what? I don't want to hold it against Billabong, but I don't wear their clothing much. No, I'm just teasing. Look, I do think they did wonderful things for surfing in South Africa, and I'm going to say, actually, it's Sharon. Sharon did make Billabong massive in South Africa that you can buy them in Mr. Price shops, etc., etc. Look, she did. She did brilliantly. But Country Feeling's coming back, and you know what?
Wow.
She's sponsoring kids. Yeah, she's sponsoring kids, and I'm really keen to, you know, as soon as my academy's going, I want to coach these kids that are up and coming. And, you know, we're talking, you know, the Danielle Powers, who's really one of our top coloured surfers, and, I mean, fantastic, really brilliant. I mean, her hubby, Mark, coaches her, and she's been doing really well. I think if she wasn't having to work, she would be in the top in the world. She has to work. You know what I mean? Yeah, so the chance of us ever getting there ever again, it'll only be if sponsors get on board. Seriously. And they can't. Can they? They have to have an overseas sister company, whatever, helping. You know what I mean? It has to come from overseas. And they can't. It's just we are not rich enough. And I don't want to say we poor. We're not. South Africa's surfing is rich, but it's become so, can I say the word diversified? It's become so fragmented that the smaller guy on the street can also make it, you know? The smaller guy homes borrows, you know what I mean? Smaller companies are actually able to develop their market and make a name for themselves as well, which is brilliant. It's keeping away this, and they said this is what's going to happen in the world. I don't know if you've heard about the world, what's going on in this funny world where we're probably all going to have funny things in our hands and to go buy food and stuff. Yeah, mark of the beast stuff. But you know what I'm trying to say is the world's, the big corporations eventually are going to start to fail, and they're going to become competed by each other, I feel. I don't know. That's one of the theories. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I didn't want to take the vax, and I did, unfortunately, and I do feel it's affected me. But I'm just going to carry on and say I do believe that there's going to be big changes in our world, and I'm very scared about the smart cities and stuff and whatever's going to happen. I really pray any surfer that listens to me doesn't have any more of those things, doesn't let the kids have any, because I don't trust them ever again. It sounds like they definitely sticking metals in it, it's aluminium. I heard a doctor today saying it, and he was in tears, saying, I can't believe that every child I'm treating, you know what I mean? I'm scared. I'm scared for kids. I'm scared for people that are getting ill, that don't have money to go and be healed. And I'm saying go natural as you can and just diet and get as healthy as you can. And, yeah, I swear by stuff like ivermectin and whatever. I am a conspiracy theorist, I'm sure. By the rest of the world, after they hear this, they're going to be going, she's one of those. And you know what? It's fine. Call me that. But I do believe if I had cancer, I will take that. And I have. I took it. So I know I'm okay. Never caught any of the funny diseases, and I'm okay. Just got a funny shoulder, which seems to be almost being cured by X39, which I'm kind of working on, promoting eventually maybe to help people. I don't know. You know what, Carl, I'm one of these who I believe in weird stuff. I'm very gullible, so I do take on stuff which people go, oh, no, sister, I will never drink that. It tastes disgusting. And it's Sui spritzes. I'm going, but it was invented by a doctor and healed people in the war. And they lived. And they go, oh, but it tastes disgusting. And I go, but I stick it in my ears and my eyes and my nose and my tummy and everything works and I'm fine. And they go, no, I won't touch it. So, you know what? Believe what you want to. It's, I think, how you eat, what you look after, how you look after yourself, and how positive you are. I'm a really positive person. I love to thrive on positivity. And, look, we all get the negative in us sometimes when things don't go all our way. But, I'm trying to, keep that positivity going in my surfing, in everything, in my life. It's hard. It gets tough, you know.
Sure.
That's, it's okay. I feel like I'm getting there, and I feel like surfing has been and always has been my lifesaver.
Yeah. Listen,
I think without it, I probably wouldn't have lived. Yeah.
No, sure.
I think, I actually met a guy the other day who was in a massive car accident, and he was in a coma, and he came out of coma, and he was paralyzed, and they said, oh, he's never going to walk again. Anyway, this buddy came to visit him with a box of smokes in his pocket. And he said, oh, I really want to have one of those smokes. And the guy said, well, get out of bed. Let's go. You can't smoke here. You've got to smoke in the passage. Anyway, he got out of bed and he walked there. Anyway, he got back after having his smoke and got to his bed, and the nurses all came running in, screaming, looking at him, going, wow, this is a miracle. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? They said the doctor just walked in and said, you're never, ever going to walk again. And here you're walking around with your little, drip. and he started surfing. And, he says smoking and surfing cured him. And, I kind of feel, surfing has this incredible ability to take people out of depression
Sure.
and to heal them physically in ways. If you do it in the right way, you can't overdo it, or else you will just hurt yourself again. So it's been quite a journey in my life.
Yes.
Surfing's really kept me on the straight and narrow, I'd say. Well, I don't know, not straight, but kind of narrow, kind of forwards direction. Yeah,
giving you direction.
Keep going.
Yeah. Listen, Kay. Last thoughts here to wrap up. This has been an interesting chat for young girls coming up. They've just started surfing. Mom and dad are going, hey, how are we going to afford to keep these girls surfing and keep them competing? Because it all costs money. We get that. We understand that. What is your advice to young girls that are just starting out, that have this aspiration of being the next Carissa Moore? Or, what advice have you got for young dolly birds that are just starting their competitive career? Let us know.
Rochelle Ballard, Carissa Moore, surfed against them both. I kind of feel like I surfed like them both. They're also some of my heroes. Yeah, surfed against them both. I'm going to say, ignore the rude boys. Unfortunately, there's this thing that I don't know why boys feel so intimidated by girls wanting to learn how to surf. Some of them jump at the chance to help them. Obviously, if they're blonde and got the bits and hanging out of the bikinis, they will. But, if you're just a tough girl and you want to do it, I'm going to say, there's been girls that I know that even have been humiliated and because they were a little bit chubby and couldn't get into a wetsuit, and they heard boys giggling and going, oh, you say, but nearly died, actually. And you even know them, and I'm not going to even mention their name, but, the boys are like that they are cool, and they won't give you waves necessarily. You've got to just drop in on them. You've got to just be hardcore. I'm going to say this as well, is the tougher place you come from, probably the better place you'll go to. So having mommy buying you a custom surfboard when ready to go, it's wrong. Surf the worst dinged up boards. Surf, parents shouldn't be even helping them. They should be making them go to the beach and saying, I'll pick you up at this time, and you surf until that time, and you're in the water for 2 hours or whatever, or you surf and then you eat or leave your stuff in the locker or something. Look, there's a lot of surf shops, that look after people's stuff and things, and keys for your cars or whatever, or bicycle or whatever. Look, things have changed. I used to cycle to the beach on my bicycle like you, or go on my motorbike, or there wasn't mommy going, oh, we'll take you to the beach and we'll watch you while you're surfing. No, there wasn't any of that, Mom didn't even care. I should come to the beach and go, oh, was that you with your feet in the air? Yeah, I know that was you because I could see your feet in the air. Yeah, that's me, Mom. You know what I mean? We weren't mollycoddled, and that's why we became tough, and that's why we surfed hard. And I'm even going to say Bianca Batenbach. She nearly won gold. And I even feel like getting a silver, it's as good as gold, man. To have got the South Africa on the map, to get that far, to beat Australians and Americans that are gifted with surfboards, who have got a quiver of 10. She probably had 2 boards. You know what I mean? Okay, you know where I'm coming from. You've got to make the kids grovel. Simone van Pletten, I don't know what you know her as, the world champion longboarder. She came from nothing, man. She used to surf shortboard with me, and I used to drill her. She could have been also a world shortboarder because she grovelled her way through. And her kids now are fantastic surfers, grovelling their way through. And that, to me, is what you need. Is you need kids that come from, tough, be toughened. And they're not. They play on their phones. They running around with luxury stuff. I don't know. To kids coming up nowadays, I'm going to say to them, you know what? Tell Mom, you're catching the train, you're getting to the beach with your surfboard, you're going with your buddies, buddies look after you. Go with a group of friends. Go and get a friend, get a mate, get a coach, get a surf lesson or 10 or whatever. So you're good enough to be able to do it on your own. And you're not going to hurt yourself and you're not going to hurt anyone else. And you know what? I made a few notes. And get a second-hand board and just go out there and do it. I don't feel, like these mollycoddled kids are ever going to get anywhere. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Good luck. I'm saying, you know what? Parents, make them tough then. Take them to karate. Take them to judo or, no, not yoga. Take them to jiu-jitsu or what's that, capoeira or something, like the Brazilian. But don't go and mollycoddle them because the sea is not going to treat them kindly. The sea's tough. Yeah. You've got to be tough, man. You've got to have, I don't know. You know what? I used to be fearless. I don't know where it came from, but I think it was karate. You know what? Dave Miller used to kick me when I went from black belt grading that I was black and blue the next day, but man, I had the biggest grin on my face that I had stood still doing that black belt karate, and he just came for me, and I was like, go, kick me. That you've got to have that almost I'm never going to die mentality. I don't know what it is, but Karl, I'm talking to kids out there who, if you really want to get good, you've got to give it so hard to beat the top Brazilians because they come out of ghettos. They come out of the scummiest area. Tita Tavares, that took me out of the World Games in Brazil. I was going to win it, man, and she took me out. She and another Brazilian made sure I was starved of waves. Ask Giggs. He was just going, what? Come on. And they just cheated me out of it. But, I mean, that's competition,
Sure.
I didn't play those games really with other South Africans often. They didn't want to gang up on other surfers. I saw Brazilians ganging up on Kenny Slater at the Mr. Price Gunston 500 in Durban. And I realized, you know what? You've got to be able to surf in anything. And you've got to be able to actually take off in the smallest wave and be able to do the biggest move and land it and not fall off. And I don't know, that's my last word to any South African kid. Good luck. And I hope that you toughen up or else you're going to come nowhere because the Aussies are cutthroat. The Aussies, the Americans, the Brazilians are cutthroat. Oh, Dad's going to go.
My little latte is
no
woken up there.
Oh, hello, Papa. Hello. No, you're missing Daddy. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to Daddy now. Daddy, I've got to say goodbye. No, Daddy. Daddy, you got to go to your Baba.
Yeah. Listen, Kay, on that note,
thank you.
Listen, it's been absolutely nothing short of fantastic having a chinwag with you, talking your story. And yes, Kay, thank you for giving an hour and some change of your time on a Friday night. Thank you.
Oh, well, I could have won 12,000 Rand at a, money draw, but, I'll do it for you guys. I'm not a gambler, really. Yeah. Hey, Karl, thank you.
No, sure. Kay, and just a parting shot here. This great surfing characters series that I'm doing, it's, I've stopped and thought about it. It's just like, maybe I've not looked properly, but you can't really find much stuff online about our heritage as South African surfers, especially the guys of yesteryear, the great surfing character. It doesn't mean you won a world title or an S.A. That's bonus stuff. But, for you being a part of this and being a part of the series is a huge thing, Kay. So, once again, thank you.
You know what? I also came up with an idea while I was talking to you. Something like the ghost tours during the 80s, 90s, 2000s, where we competed in America and well, they went ghost eventually, like world, like the Mike Burnesses, who could have been the world champion. Absolutely, the Royden Bryson. I mean, I saw him pulling in air, and I went, this Travis Logie pulling in air in the world. You know what I mean? They could have been the world champs.
Yeah.
They were as good as they are now, and they just didn't have that, chance.
Yeah. Yes,
and it's quite. I'd love to do like a podcast chatting to them and like them giving their views on
absolutely
like, South African surfing as well.
Yeah.
Like a kind of a group chat. It would be awesome.
Yes, it's brilliant. Okay, Kay.
But yeah, I think you're doing a fantastic thing for South African surfing. Keep it up.
Sure.
Really.
No, cool, man.
Keep interviewing, and yeah, I can't wait to see Chris Knudsen and Sean Thompson and Bianca Batendag, and she's out here got a lot going that she's helping a lot of people, disadvantaged people, which is absolutely amazing. So that's, I think, where a lot of women are going.
Okay.
Danielle as well, and said, yeah.
Okay,
But
cool.
thank you.
No, okay. Listen, we'll chat again soon, eh? Take care.
Absolutely.
Ciao.
Love you lots.
Ciao.
Keep surfing.
Thank you.